Sports stories from the 419 in Northwest Ohio, brought to you by a voice you know. It's time to go around the area and around the Hearn.
Welcome to a new edition of Around the Hearn as we're talking about Classic of the Country. It's been over for a week. I've finally had time to kind of sit and put this together, and we've got two terrific gentlemen to talk about their experience in Crestview head coach Mark Gregory, and the one, the only proprietor of Hall of Fame Huddle in my buddy Rich Harland. I'm excited for you to hear what they say finally. Again, for a lot of reasons. Didn't get a chance to put this together last week like I would have liked, but still a great look back at the annual Classic in the Country event, which is littered with tremendous talent, as always. And we'll hear from those two coming up in just a couple of minutes. Taking a look at the AP poll that just came out, apparently now, instead of having two different polls come out on 2 different days, you get everything all at once. The Associated Press poll on the boys' side had Defiance come in at number 6 in Division 2. Ottawa Glandorf and Liberty Benton representing Division 3 in the area in positions 5 and 7. Russia at number 4 in Division 4. That's a good spot for them. Marion Local stays at number 8 in Division 4, and Fort Loramie on the boys' side comes in as one of just a handful of schools to be represented on both sides. And the Crestview Knights, after Loramie is in there at 13, the Crestview Knights sneak in there at number 5. And I mean that because I did an entire list and then just missed them. And good addition to the polls as well, with Patrick Henry being in there, and a team that has really shown what they can do in Northwest Ohio throughout the course of this year, and a lot of folks talking about what that team can do and do some damage. Girls' side features Liberty Benton as the number 10 team in Division 2, sitting at 15-1. Ottawa Glandorf drops a couple of spots down to number 5, despite the fact that they lost in overtime on the road to Division 2's number 2 team in Toledo Central Catholic on a Saturday afternoon, what was a terrific ball game. Division 3 finishes off with the Parkway Panthers, who are on a run right now and are in the same district that Ottawa Glandorf is in. They're 15th. Division 4 has the Fort Loramie girls at number 4. Marion Local at number 7. They jump up a spot. Crestview comes in at number 11. And the Russia Raiders and the Lipstick girls split the 14th spot in Division 4. Other things going on. Fort Loramie actually beat Bath on a Saturday, and the two of the 4 teams, I should say, that are in the running to be the first to get to 1,000 wins. But Loramie gets that one. And perhaps the biggest game on Saturday was David Holman. I keep saying, give this kid a statue. Down in New Bremen. He had a layup at the buzzer to give New Bremen a 47-45 win over Botkins. That was a night after Ottawa Glandorf survived Van Wert in double overtime. 64-62 on a Hunter Steck-Schulte 3 at the buzzer. Football news. Columbus Grove standout A.J. Schaefer will play football at Indiana Wesleyan. Aiden Pratt, the quarterback from Van Wert. He and Maddox Crutchfield, his wide receiver, both committed over the last week to play collegiately as well. Pratt will be the quarterback for the Oilers in Findlay. Maddox Crutchfield will continue a Northwest Ohio pipeline to St. Francis and Fort Wayne. Collegiate girls basketball, Aaron Kaufman, 16 points, 8 rebounds for Malone in a win over Findlay on a Saturday. Also made 8 free throws in that ball game. Waynesville Goshen's Joe Horn, the former track standout, is going to go into the Track and Cross Country Coaches Hall of Fame. Congratulations to him. Shawnee boys, the Bluffton girls, win the Allen County Swim Cup, the first ever at the Lima YMCA on a Saturday. And then a handful of coaching changes. Defiance College's head coach of the last 15 years and their athletic director, Derek Woodley, says he's leaving to become a minor league coach in the Yankees system. Congratulations to him. Hopefully I can get him on at some point. That's a really neat turn I'd love to hear him talk about. Sonora hired Eric Becker as its new football coach. He was an assistant the last couple of years. And just a little bit longer than a week or so ago, Delphus Jefferson found out they're going to be looking for a new head football coach as Ben Rarick stepped down as the Jeff Katz mentor. And the thing I saved for last, because I just want to say a huge congratulations to her Ottawa Glandorf's got an All-American on their girls' soccer program, and it's McKenna Siefker. Despite not being able to finish the season, she was named an All-American, the first for OG at the United Coaches Convention over the weekend, and I can't say enough good things about her. And as I tape this on a Monday evening, Austin Parks at St. Mary's is 24 points away from breaking the school record for points in a career. He's got a Tuesday night game, and if he does not do that, they don't have a Friday night game at Kenton that you can hear on K94. Excited for a big week of basketball. You've got the OG girls trying to wrap up the Western Buckeye League. They take on Salina on Thursday nights, and just a slew of games in the area that have massive implications. Friday night, Shawnee and St. Mary's will tussle. Ottawa Glandorf and last Friday night, when they did, turned out to be a big game as Parks came out with a big game. This Friday night, after the Lima Cups have been done, you've got Lima Central Catholic and Lima Senior, and then each team is taking on Shawnee. But Friday night, it'll be OG at Salina, Bath at Defiance, St. Mary's at Kenton, Van Wert at Shawnee, Elida at Wapak. Those are all big games. Maybe the biggest game in the area on a Saturday will be Rossford traveling to the Supreme Court to take on OG. All of the reverse of those will be on Thursday with the girls. Coming up Friday, the Northwest Conference got a big matchup between Bluffton and Spencerville. Was excited to see the Bearcats last weekend finally, and they got a massive third quarter from Josh Henline as he ended up being the player of the game on Z Sports 3. But just kind of looking around, I mean, there's some teams trying to make some noise. You look at the Midwest Athletic Conference, you've got just Coldwater flying high. And boy, are they a fascinating story, because they're 7-5 on the year, but they're 4-0 in the MAC. Marion Local's behind them at 3-0 and 9-2. And coming up this weekend, it'll be Marion Local and Parkway, and Coldwater will have Versailles at home. A Versailles team sitting right around 500 at 6-7. That's kind of a look at some things that have gone on. I've had a great couple of weeks. Got to do the MLK Classic down in Fort Loramie. It was another big opportunity for teams to showcase themselves. And this Sunday is the girls' basketball draw. Next Sunday is the boys. We've almost reached the tournament. So hopefully we can have some coaches on after this weekend to talk about that. But just be sure, get out to check out some high school basketball and everything else going on with wrestling and with swimming and diving as well. Just, like I said, support high school sports. Coming up in a few, it'll be Mark Gregory, the head coach at Crestview, and the man himself, and Rich Harland. We'll come back here on Around the Hearn. Are you in Spencerville and looking for a place to eat before the Bearcats play? Well then, head to my place, 128 North Broadway, for deep-fried mushrooms, chili cheese fries, the best pie around, and soup of the day. If you're in a hurry and just want to order some to go, you can give Doug and his staff a call at 419-647-4062, and they'll have it ready for you. My Place Restaurant at 128 North Broadway in Spencerville, a proud supporter of Bearcat Athletics. MLK weekend this weekend, and a lot of big tournaments. And for the girls, there's none bigger than Classic of the Country. If you have not been, trust me, you need to go. If for nothing else, just to get mashed potatoes and get noodles. But also to celebrate girls basketball. And pretty cool back-to-back Northwest flavor at Classic of the Country this weekend, with Bath playing, falling by 2 in the first of 2 games. The second game, the head coach of the Crestview Knights, and Mark Gregory now, and you guys come out with an impressive win.
Yeah, getting back to what you just said, what an atmosphere. A lot of our girls have not been there before, and what a great opportunity for them to come down there and spend the day and just take in all the sights there. Not many of our girls are used to seeing the Amish buggies and just seeing around town there all the things that there is to do, and then the opportunity to be able to play in front of college coaches, in front of a lot of media, and play against a team with the background and the history of Berlin Highland is a tremendous opportunity in itself.
I don't know that I believe, though, that in Convoy that a lot of those girls have never seen horses and buggies. Now, I'm not saying Convoy itself, but, I mean, pretty damn close.
No, honestly, there's not too many of those real close to us, but you got to go to Indiana to to Grable or Harland, that area, to go to see the horse and buggies.
Or just go play Fort Recovery.
There you go. You could do that too.
I mean, that's also one on there. What's crazy about it is, I don't know which way you guys go up, but I would imagine on the bus you get stuck with the same sort of oddities of there's no good road right outside of where the school is, no matter what direction you're coming from. And you have to go down these kind of country roads. The first time that I went, I've been twice, I got stuck behind a horse and buggy for about 10 minutes.
Yep.
And there's
Yep.
no way to pass on the road in my car, so I have to
Yep.
imagine it'd be worse on a bus.
So just one really funny story, other than just like what you're saying. You got horse and buggies. You got those electric bikes that are going through there, and they're, of course, riding on the wrong side of town. So my bus driver's trying to maneuver between traffic and people riding their bikes. But one of the funniest things that I think happened on the way down is I looked back, and we were climbing a hill, and I looked back, and I got four sixth grade managers back there with their hands up in the air, ready to go down the hill. And again, in flat country up in Convoy, we don't get a bunch of hills, so the kids were excited, and I'm like, "You guys think we're in Cedar Point or what?" And it was really cool. But just a great day. We went down unfortunately just for the day, and came back that night because we got a game tonight. So we really wanted to make sure our kids got to play.
I think your scheduler has a problem there.
Well, it is what it is. We've always played Van Wert on Monday, so we've never changed that, and but we also enjoy that game as well. So this was something that we got invited to, and it was just a tremendous opportunity for us.
Well, let me ask you that, because I've had coaches before that have played, for instance, boys coaches that have played Fly to the Hoop, that said they call you and they tell you have to have from X to Y open on your schedule. Was it like that, or they gave you a specific day?
Well, luckily, when we got asked to play, I believe Berlin hadn't scheduled their game yet. And so basically they gave us the opportunity to play on that Saturday night game, which I think was just, phenomenal, because we still had, people there from the previous games. It was the last game of the night. It was against Berlin Highland, the home team. So it was a great atmosphere, a great crowd to play in front of. And, like with girls, unfortunately, there's just times where we don't get that crowd. And so, our boys played at home against Wayne Trace and had a big game. So we didn't have a lot of people at our game. And unfortunately, a lot of that's because, the boys had a game that night too. So, but again, it was awesome. I think our girls loved it. Our coaches loved it. Our managers loved it. And, our AD and his wife came. So I appreciate them making the trip, but, I'd do it in a heartbeat again.
It is a really neat thing, but I would imagine that you didn't make any other extra fans after that game because you beat Berlin Highland at Berlin Highland. Well,
that's what I kind of asked a couple of people. I'm like, are we going to get invited back? And I haven't got an answer on that, or I don't know when they make that decision.
Not.
But I truly would, if any of those people catch this, I sure would appreciate the opportunity to come back there. And like I said, even if it's not against Berlin Highland, I would love to come back and have an opportunity to play there, because it's a great time. I will say this: my assistant coach, Jeremy Best, who never makes a big deal out of food, he was just blown away at the noodles. And a lot of people told us, "Hey, you gotta have the noodles, And
I told you that
Subway,
too.
We had Subway coming in, and so I really wasn't hungry, but he didn't have Subway. And I catch him before we're getting ready to do our pregame talk. I'm like, "Where's Coach Best at?" I go try to find him, and he's out in the lobby eating noodles. I'm like, dude, these are awesome. And so, just a great time.
I just developed a whole new level of respect for Jeremy Best. He is the smartest man in your entire deal right now.
I'm telling you, it's the truth. But yeah, just a phenomenal weekend.
What you do is you corner him and you ask him your state championship ring or a huge bowl of noodles.
Hey, I asked him a question like that. It wasn't exactly that, and he said noodles was his first pick.
Oh, it's my 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 2nd, 1st. Yeah, it's every pick. Last time I was there a couple years ago with OG, we purposely, by we I mean me, because I was driving, told the two people that were with me it was going to be 30, 40 minutes because OG played in the early game on a Saturday morning. And I told them, I don't. You guys can do whatever you want, but I'm waiting for them to bring out noodles. I'm eating these noodles before I leave. So we go through and we get one of the first batches, and they were like, well, I didn't really see what the big deal was. Like, you guys can walk home.
I got one more thing I want to share with you real quick before we really get into basketball here. But my wife it does my book for me. Okay, so she's sitting at the scores table, and she's like, "You take me back there anytime you want to." And I said, "Well, what was the big deal?" Well, first off, she got to go upstairs and do the hospitality food, which was
amazing,
as you said, chicken, mashed potatoes, gravy, roll, desserts. But the icing on the cake was they brought our ice cream at the scores table at halftime. I mean, come on, I can't do that stuff at Crestview. And so I'm like, man, you guys are making it really tough for me because I'm going to have to come up with ways to keep my scores table people happy. So, but she was just blown away at the hospitality and the atmosphere. And just another sidebar, I want to thank Rich for Hall of Fame Huddle just for, he was phenomenal, not only just on the radio waves, but what he's done for his kids that play for him in the summer. I really appreciate him and just want to give a shout out to him for he was very kind to our kids and especially my daughter Callie, and I just wanted to tell him thank you so much for that because that you guys do a great job in the media, you included obviously, and I just obviously we've lost some guys here lately with Tom Usher being the last one here, and I just appreciate you guys so much.
Well, we appreciate you. It makes it a heck of a lot easier to do our job. My first thought is, you can't get the gas station down the street to bring your wife some ice cream at halftime?
Well, they don't have homemade ice cream like they do.
That's true.
They do in there.
There's a place in Bluffton. It's not that far.
I gotta figure something out.
I'm going to have to hit your hospitality room better the next time I come to Crestview.
I know, and those guys do a pretty good job. But I don't know about ice cream at the scores table.
This just went awry. I just am always fascinated by people's trips to Classic of the Country and their reaction to that. But, you talk about Rich, and he's going to be the second part of these interviews about Classic of the Country and about the weekend here in just a few. But he didn't want to interview you. He said it was late. That's what he told me.
Well, I figured, like I said, we were the last game, and we were wanting to get out of there. So I figured that was probably the case. Because plus he had mentioned about bringing me on for a podcast later on. But they interviewed, there at the tournament, they interviewed Lacey and Callie, which was really special, and appreciated them doing that. But we'll have our discussion at some point here, but it wasn't going to be that night.
Well, here's a little bit of a secret. He actually wanted to get rid of you before they took all the rest of the fry pies off the free table.
Now that I believe. Yeah. I do believe that. Yeah, I do believe that.
As part of his pick'em, for people who don't know, he does a yearly pick'em where he gives some stuff away. And one of the prizes one of the prop bets is how many fry pies will he consume in the entire weekend.
Oh, I tell you, man, that's just another thing that we didn't talk about, but it's phenomenal. I mean, I can't say enough positive things about it.
Basketball, though, specifically with all those kind of things aside,
sure.
With what you guys did in that ball game, you get up, you get double-digit points in the first quarter, and you continue to just sort of build on that. I mean, first of all, what's the prep for a game like that, knowing it's not close? You're going to take on, obviously, one of the best teams in the state, one of the best programs, and kind of coming out of that, what did you learn about your team?
Well, let's not forget. I didn't mention this earlier, but we had a big week this week. I mean, we had a game at Coldwater with Riley Russmiller, who just does a real nice job protecting the paint, not letting you get any easy looks in the paint. So we that's on Tuesday. Thursday we go to Allen East for a conference showdown where they have been much improved. We went in there. I think they were 3-1 or 4-1 at the time, and I was really concerned about that game just because they're so scrappy. well coached, and we went into that game and ended up winning there, and easier than what I anticipated. And so you wrap up that game, and then now it's time for Berlin Highland prep, and you got a day to do that. And so I had a couple games to watch. But the other thing, Bud, is we had 3 starters that are in our night vision, and they were in Portland, Indiana for a show at 1:15, and their parents busted it down to Berlin Highland for our game. Got there about 6 o'clock, 6:15, and so I told our girls after the game, I was just so proud of them, the entire week, just because, again, it's a long week, no matter how you look at it. But then to throw in the night vision and throw in the just being focused and pay attention to the game preps and scouting reports and blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's a lot for a young kid. And we also had a lot of testing this past week. So it was off the charts as far as difficulty. And I just appreciate my kids. I appreciate the parents for hanging in there, and supporting their kids and supporting us as coaches. And I guess what I learned from my kids is they're as tough as I think they are. And that's something that sometimes you wonder about. And but after that week, I think, man, there's not a whole lot we can't do, I think, if we can survive a week like that.
Yeah, the 3 games in 4 days is probably not a normal thing, kind of more of an NBA thing, but you get a big week this week, too, because you go Monday, Thursday, obviously not having a weekend and getting 4 or 5 more days to get ready for a trip to Shawnee after you play at Van Wert and you play home against a very good Jefferson team. I don't want to say you, but maybe what are people necessarily expecting out of what you've got this week with having just played 3 games in 4 days?
Yeah, I really don't expect anything different. Our kids, that's why we drove home on Saturday night as opposed to staying in a hotel. I just thought, hey, let's get back on Saturday night, even though it's late. Kids get to sleep in their own bed. They get Sunday all day just to rest their bodies, hopefully drink lots of fluids. And Monday, today, we got in with no school. And I don't like that either, but at least we got together and had a shoot around today for an hour, got together and talked a little to prep for the game. Because, again, we just played on Saturday, so we really haven't had any of that watch film or anything like that. So, but I don't anticipate our kids taking this game lightly or thinking, hey, we're not in school today. I just don't have any concerns about that with this group. It's a very mature group, and they're continuing to grow in confidence every single day. And like I said, I like where we're at, and I expect nothing but the best tonight against the Cougars.
I won't play this for them until after your game tonight because I don't want them to hear you say you're not happy they didn't go to school.
Well,
you're probably the only one on that.
No. But what I mean by that is, I just never like to play games when you don't have school because I think there's a lot to be said for, when you're at school and you're focused, whereas opposed you're not in school, now you got a game. It's like, okay, what are we doing all day today? Are we sitting around eating potato chips? Are we, watching film? Or are we, most likely they're probably doing the alternative that you don't want them to do. But that's why I say that, not because I don't want them in school. That's
no. Again, your players heard. I want these kids to go to school, and they're trying to say, hey man, why are you trying to stymie my off day?
Yeah. So my day didn't change. I got up and ran 5 miles this morning with my morning group. I got to work
because you had those
took
noodles.
A little time out. Exactly. No. I didn't have them. It was only Coach Beth.
Oh, then I lost respect for you.
I know. Well, hey, listen, I'm not big on eating stuff right before the game, so that's just me. Now, Coach Best, he didn't do that when he was head coach, so now he's the assistant. He can just kind of float a little bit more.
Oh yeah,
now.
It's a lot easier when it's somebody else's program. I've seen you guys a couple times. I know how that works.
Oh yeah. But no, I'm excited for this week, and like I said, it's 2 really big games. This is a county game here. One of our goals for this year was to try and win every single one of our county games with Van Wert, with Lincoln View, with Wayne Trace. And, so this is the first step and first leg of that. So we got to you got to take care of this leg to be able to take care of the other 2. So, and that's something that the kids brought up. I mean, that's not my goal. That's the kids' goal. And so, But they're going to be up for the game. Van Wert has been very competitive all year long. They've competed and competed. They've got multiple girls that have played for 3 and 4 years for Coach Filippo, and I don't expect anything but the best shot from them tonight.
Well, I'm sure that Troy Yant at OG is probably a huge fan of yours tonight because he's hoping that you guys wear them out by not giving them anything to try to do to get ready for Thursday.
Yeah, well, I'm a big Troy Yant fan too, and you make sure and tell him I'll do everything we can do that tonight.
He might actually be there. I don't even know.
That's probably a good call. That guy does. I don't think he sleeps.
He does not. I can confirm that he does not.
No, he eats and sleeps basketball, but that's the life of a head coach.
Rest of the season, I mean, you guys have got some away games that you're going to load up the bus. You go to Shawnee, you go to Ada, Audubon, and then finishing in Lincoln View. But it just dawned on me, you're talking about winning the county. You should get some sort of, like the service academies have the Commander-in-Chief's trophy. You should get some sort of Van Wert County trophy.
That would be cool. Somebody needs to bring that up because we haven't had an opportunity to do that yet. So, but one thing I want to add to you is we made up our Audubon game, we've on the schedule. But right now, if you look at our schedule, we have a 21 game schedule right now, and we are in the process of looking for that 22nd game. We have thrown out some teams, and it just hadn't worked out. We are actually to the point now where we're throwing out to Indiana teams, and so just I wanted to share with you that it's not confirmed yet. We've reached out to them, but we are looking to try and play Carroll High School in Fort Wayne, who is I believe they're 4A school, and a good program, and so again that's a game that actually could be possibly end of January here. That we would tack onto our schedule that's already extremely difficult. But I wanted to mention that to you.
Do you find that harder, though, as a successful coach right now in that you guys have built the program to where you've been to the Final Four, you've made your name, you went to Classic in the Country, knocked off kind of the kingpin of a high school basketball as a lot of people look at it, and it makes it harder, or are teams maybe less willing to want to play you?
Well, that's what we found here, and that's why I said we're going to Indiana because, we had several teams that had reached out, statewide and said, hey, we're looking for games, and then we call them and they're like, no, thank you. No, thank you. We'll find somebody else. And so it is a little disappointing because, we have a very difficult schedule, and I wouldn't mind finding somebody local that we can play, but unfortunately, it's a little different story right now. So, and it's a blessing and a curse. But I think it's a huge blessing just because, that just means that we've got a lot of teams that respect us and respect our program and our kids and our community. And, so again, I'm not opposed to reaching outside of our community, and actually it's kind of a cool situation because, Carroll has a girl on their team that plays on my daughter's AAU team with Always 100. And so it'd be a really cool experience for us to be able to go over there and play against a really sound, really good Carroll team.
A victim of your own success.
Yeah, that's a great way to say it. Yeah,
that's exactly how that goes. But congratulations! I mean, you guys are on a heck of a streak now. 4 wins in a row going into Van Wert later tonight as we speak on Monday. And I always enjoy our conversations. I'm glad that you guys got that pub, and I'm so proud of what you and Bath did to represent Northwest Ohio and kind of show everybody else of, hey, you know what? Maybe we should pay attention. We have some pretty good hoops going on out here.
I'm glad you brought that up because, just like my respect for our media, I respect a lot of our coaches in Northwest Ohio and coaches in Ohio in general. But I tell you what, Coach Mock, for what he's done in his career and what he continues to do with that Bath program, and he's definitely a guy that I look up to. Also because he's 6'6", but also just a guy that he's just such a great guy and a guy that always has an ear for you and always willing to talk and give you his advice and take it or leave it. But I just want to thank all of the coaches that you cover and that I get to compete against. It's a blessing. And like I said, Classic in the Country was awesome. but so is playing some of these coaches and programs that have been there and done that.
Eventually, you're going to be that old guy, the wise sage that everyone comes to advice for.
Hey, easy now.
I said
easy,
eventually.
right?
I said eventually.
Well, I am getting old. So I got 2 kids in college and a junior and an 8th grader. So I am getting old. But I tell you what, it's a lot of fun. I love the kids. I love the competition. I just think it's such a great groundwork for preparation for life in general, for college. There's just so many lessons to be learned through sports, and tell you what, it's a blessing to be able to be a head coach and be able to be in charge of the program and be able to talk to these kids and help them every day, and they help me as well.
Well, good luck to you and your young ladies tonight.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate it. We're looking forward to the battle, and again, once we turn the page on this game, then we'll set our sights on Jefferson. But right now, we're focused on the Cougars. That's
Mark Gregory, the head coach at Crestview. We're back with some other guy here in just a few.
What's up, Winter Jam? This is Jeremy Camp, and I can't wait to be with you in Fort Wayne, Indiana on February 2nd. There's so many artists I cannot wait to personally see myself. It's going to be an insane night. New songs, hopefully songs you guys know, some fun surprises, and, of course, a night of encouragement, worship, and storytelling. It's only $15 at the door. No tickets needed. All you got to do is find your city, get the lineup, and check out all the VIP options at jamtour.com. See you guys there.
Continuing on and talking about Classic in the Country, I said I would have a pretty big guest. And in the world of a Classic in the Country and fry pies, there becomes no bigger guest than Rich Harland himself. What was the final total?
So, wait, you're telling me I'm live now?
Well, we're recording, so I guess that would be kind of like being live.
You didn't even warn me.
I literally just said, here we go.
All right, what was the question?
How many fry pies did you end up consuming over the weekend?
I had 10 fried pies.
How many pounds of mashed potatoes and noodles do you think?
I only had 2 bowls of noodles. So, I don't know, 1 pound?
I think that might be a crime.
Well, when you sit up in the luxury boxes, there's food up there, so I don't have to go to the concession stand and buy noodles. So
I guess I forgot that you're like a VIP's VIP at Classic in the Country.
I don't know if I go that far, but
well, I'm never invited up to there.
I do enjoy my time at the Classic in the Country, if that's what you're saying, yes.
And it does happen to coincide because it's a pretty neat birthday present for you.
Yes, it is. This is the 2nd year in a row, and it's going to happen again next year.
Well, I just joked with Mark Gregory.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
I just joked with Mark Gregory about how it's interesting because right after Christmas, it's almost like a second Christmas for you because you get girls basketball a weekend, it's your birthday for a couple of years, and then pretty much everybody knows you there.
Well, it's not as exciting as you'd think to have everybody know you.
I've been around you, and I know you're lying.
It can be very difficult to focus on watching basketball. It can be very difficult to get some things done that I need to get done. And then you throw in the people that I don't even know that know me, and it really throws you off. You know, people that know me just from Twitter, and they come up to me and introduce themselves, which I appreciate, but they rarely, introduce themselves. They just start talking and assume that I know who they are.
Are they fans of your Pawn Stars tweets?
First of all, there haven't been any Pawn Star tweets for 10 years.
Oh, that's. I heard a different version of the story, so I just thought I'd ask.
But I do meet a lot of people who are fans of my Twitter. Yes.
As long as you're not meeting them in the bathroom, you're okay. Because I've had that happen a couple of times where where someone has introduced themselves of your voice sounds familiar. I think I follow you on Twitter. Happens more than I would like to admit.
I don't have to deal with that. People don't know my voice.
They don't know your face either, so that's probably a good thing.
That's a very good thing. Some might know my voice, but not as many as you. Like, you are known for the dulcet tones of your melodious voice.
Your check's in the mail. There's about 6 people that got that one.
I am not, thank God.
It is just funny, though, because, I mean, obviously for different things, you with the beard, because that has to be one thing immediately. Everybody just goes, wait a second. I'm pretty sure I've seen this beard before. And I never realized that before when I talk to people sometimes. A couple of people, I know you from somewhere, and it'll take them a minute. I'm like, I don't have any jokes for this, but I'm going to go ahead and go wash my hands and walk out now.
Well, you haven't seen me in a while.
I've seen a lot of pictures just hanging out in downtown Cleveland.
And, people that haven't seen me in a while, the beard has gotten shorter and my hair has gotten longer. So some people are a little surprised when they see me now.
All I know is I saw the picture in downtown Cleveland with your club wear that you had going on as you're just walking around town.
Well, is that good or bad? I mean, did I have some style or did I not?
I guess it depends on how your night went.
I mean, I always have a good night.
Well, speaking of that,
I'm going back down tomorrow night.
Mark Gregory,
my birthday.
Mark Gregory said that he would like to party with you, but he's a morning person who gets up at 5 a.m. and runs 5 miles. So he doesn't think he can hang with you and your crew.
Well, if Mark Gregory gets up at 5:30 and runs 5 miles, that man's got problems.
Well, I tried to explain that to him too, but I said I'm sleepy just listening to you explain it.
There's something wrong with somebody waking up at 5:30 and running 5 miles. So he's probably a tad bit crazier than I am.
He's upset he didn't get to be on the interviews this weekend.
Well, I don't know what to say that. It was a late game. The night was over. They had a long drive. I was not going to keep him any longer. I am going to get Callie on the podcast, though, so that should make up for it, I suppose.
And she's been on before. She was on a year or so ago.
No, she was supposed to be on.
Oh, that's right.
She was too cool for me and was hanging out with some friends, so
that's
we couldn't
right.
Get her on that night.
He came on instead.
Well, he was going to come on no matter what. You came on instead.
I was maybe leaving that part out. We joke because we haven't talked really in a while, but big weekend for you over the weekend. I mean, you just kind of look up and down the schedule of the 23 games that you saw over the handful of a couple of days just leaving recently. And, I mean, I've been there twice, and it really is a really neat way to showcase, one, how good girls basketball is in the state of Ohio, but how great it is kind of everywhere with the teams that come in.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great place to see a lot of teams from different regions of Ohio. There were 2 teams from outside of Ohio, which is nice. I mean, I'm not a big fan of bringing a ton of teams from outside the state, just because we want to, try to keep it something of our own and local. You get too many teams from outside the state, and there's just a lack of interest. It's hard to kind of, that's less teams that you can connect with because you've seen them play, or, I mean, you haven't seen them play. You don't know any of the players. So, there's a good mixture. They had a team from Illinois and a team from Indiana. So, I mean, I think that's a solid mixture of, having mostly Ohio teams, but mixing in a couple extra.
Now, do you think it's a little bit hard now because over the last couple of years, a lot of other teams, I know there were a couple up here in Toledo, where teams have kind of gone on their own and kind of made an event where there's going to be 4, 5, 6, 8 games, whatever it is, of being able to get talent, or is with Classic in the City and with the MLK Classic they had in Toledo this weekend, is Classic in the Country kind of big enough and well known as being the first big one itself that they're kind of the one at the front of the line that everybody wants to be.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, no disrespect to anybody, because all basketball is good basketball. I wasn't aware that there was an event up in Toledo. I might have to check into that one.
Well, it was kind of a smaller thing where it was just I think like eight teams maybe, but they kind of played it over the course of the day in Rossford, I believe.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's no. If somebody says that the Classic in the Country is not the gold standard for MLK weekend, then they're just lying to themselves and to you. It most certainly is, and that's no disrespect to anybody. I know the Classic in the City is doing a great job of getting a lot of talent in there. But you're just, like I said, chasing the gold standard. So it is what it is, and it's not an insult to anybody else, but it's how it is, and it's most likely the way it's going to stay.
Maybe for people who don't know, I mean, obviously you've been on the show before, and we've talked a lot about kind of different things. How have you, in your time that you've been there for a while covering Classic in the Country, how have you watched it grow and maybe change a little bit?
Well, we definitely there's more teams now, or more games. Over the years, I don't know exactly how many games they started with, but I know it wasn't 23. And even in recent memory, it was only 20. And before that, it was less than that. But the most basic growth is the amount of games. 9 a.m. is the first tip on Saturday and Monday, and Sunday the first tip is at noon. So everybody can go to church and then come play or watch some basketball. But that's the easy one. But otherwise, it's just it helps the game grow in general, just because it's a meeting place for people. Like I see a lot of my friends in the basketball world that I will not see any other time of the year, or maybe only a couple other times out of the year. So it's really a time to fellowship, to be honest, with people that you just don't get to see very often. Like Rob Matula and his Mason team. I'm not going to get to see them all year unless they go to state semifinals. Reynoldsburg, Jack Patel, I probably won't get to see them. So it just kind of brings people together that have a very common interest. And just the community aspect of it just continues to grow. I mean, there was a really good crowd this week. I don't know how much bigger it can grow. I know that they definitely cannot squeeze any more games into a 3-day time frame, but I don't know that it has to grow anymore. It's a monster, and where it's at right now is a great place. So
Saturday was a big day for Northwest Ohio, as they had a handful of teams play. Notre Dame played West Branch early in the afternoon, and you got to see two teams that I see a lot exclusively in Bath and Crestview. West Holmes beat Bath by a couple of points. Crestview beats Harland in that game on their home court in the last game on Saturday. Walk me through that. I mean, you watched those two games, kind of what you thought of those two teams.
Well, your teams played both of the only two Holmes County teams. Obviously, West Holmes is the west part of the county, and then Berlin is in East Holmes. So they're the only two teams in the county, and both of your teams from Northwest Ohio got to play them. Honestly, the West Holmes Lima Bath game was a good one. It went down to the last shot. They were both very similar. Both teams have very little size. They're both very fundamental. They shoot the ball well. So that was a good matchup, just because it's two similar teams. not such a great matchup just because nobody jumped off the page. It was a low-scoring game. There were, very few next-level players on the floor. I know West Holmes has maybe at least one, maybe two D3 kids. I'm not sure about Lima Bath, but, there was nothing spectacular about it. I'm sure you've seen Lima Bath many times. They're very fundamental.
I actually just saw them last week.
So that, there's nothing real flashy about what they do, and West Holmes is very similar. So you got to enjoy that type of basketball. If you're there hoping to see, a high scoring game or a whole lot of excitement, you're probably watching the wrong game.
People in Lima will be thrilled to hear that.
I mean, I picked them to win, but they didn't. So take that up with your Lima people.
I mean, I saw them already. I'm past the point. They played OG already. I'm past that point where I see them again.
The Crestview game and the Highland game, that was obviously a very good one. Straight to the point, Callie Gregory is a kid that that's the first time I've seen her since the state semifinals in what year would that have been? 2021. 2021. So she's a much different basketball player. And quite frankly, I was extremely impressed. And I'm not real easily impressed. Like I find kids that are good, and I'm always the guy who's, okay, they're probably not that good. They're probably, I don't think they're as good as you think they are. I'm a little bit more critical of players, and Callie was phenomenal. I mean, she jumped off the page. She was the best player on the floor. The things that she can do offensively is incredible. I mean, she shoots the heck out of it. Am I allowed to cuss?
I think you just did.
Well, at least it wasn't too bad of a word. I mean, she really has a great stroke, and she's got range. She can get to the basket. She dribbles and passes with both hands. She finishes well. She literally posts people, smaller guards up. Highland tried to face guard her, and she got to posting them up a couple times, which is just unbelievable, from a high school guard. And what really impressed me the most is her mid-range game is far and away better than most kids I've seen. I can't even think of the next best kid that I've seen in recent memory that has the mid-range game that she has. Honestly, she made a couple moves on mid-range that looked like Kobe Bryant. The way she gets in the lane and she gets in the air and she's not even facing the basket, and she gets turned around and she dials in. And that's just not stuff that you see in the girls' game, period. I was just very, very impressed. And, obviously I tweeted about it. I don't know how many people saw that tweet. Last I checked, it was like over 15,000. So a lot of people got to see at least what I felt about her. And I had coaches calling me and texting me, and nobody had heard about her until then.
Which is a shame.
It's unbelievable to me. I mean, it's not unbelievable because it happens all the time. But, that kid, she's not being hurt because she's more reserved, but there's a lot of kids in her grade at the same position that aren't even close to as good as she is, but have more recognition because they are social media darlings. And they want us to know every little thing that they're doing. And that's the gift and the curse of social media. In the long run, even though, Callie and Mark might feel like she's behind, she's not, because eventually she's going to be in a much better place than the kids that are getting the faux attention, the stuff that's just not real. Like, those kids get to college and they can't compete, and then they transfer or they quit or they're never happy. Callie's going to have the opportunity to actually talk to coaches that are interested in her because they've seen her or they're going to go see her, and they got a good word about her previous to seeing her. I know the Kent State coach said they're going out there next week.
They ought to come out on Thursday when they play Delphos Jefferson, honestly.
They didn't. I mean, it would be great if they were able to just pick up what they're doing and go whenever they want, but that's
Right.
just not the case. But they didn't even see her Saturday. They just, word of mouth.
You're over 23,000, by the way.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it was 23.2 thousand.
I mean, that's pretty incredible, but check what the last Prep Girls Hoops tweet did.
I'm going to choose to ignore this comment and just move on. Because you're talking about something great and promoting Callie Gregory, which I totally agree with you. She had a game last year. They played Otto Glendorf up in Sandusky at the Jingle Ball Jam, and she wasn't playing well for a little bit. And then there was just it was a timeout or something where whatever the switch was, they flipped. She ends up hitting 7 threes in that ball game, and OG didn't have an answer for her. They end up winning that ball game. Obviously, she has a terrific career. She put up 26 a couple of weeks ago against OG, and it was just fascinating. I've talked to her dad. I've talked to her. I've seen her enough, out here in Northwest Ohio. But you're absolutely right. I don't think there are enough people that you immediately say her name and they're kind of, wait, who? Well, you should find out.
A couple of things that really impressed me about her game in general is she didn't force anything. Like, Highland face guarded her quite a bit. They definitely threw some junk defenses at her because they had to, and she never forced anything. Like, every shot she took was a good shot. And she made some great passes. Like, she's not a ball hog. She's not all about scoring. She sticks her nose in there and she rebounds. She's very athletic in the passing lane, so she gets her hands on a lot of deflections. So that's one thing, that she's very well rounded. And another thing is she's not just a shooter. Like, that's what I thought she was without having seen her since she was a freshman. That's what I just thought she was. And I was wrong. Like, this kid is doing a whole lot more than just shooting threes. She's really good at it. But she's not just a 3-point shooter, and that's it.
I like the quote from the young lady from Highland. We're a younger team. We pretty much just need to ignore this game and look forward to the next one.
I mean, I don't know where that quote came from, but she was right.
It was in one of the newspapers.
They pulled out a win tonight over a Division I team that only had one loss, and they're going to be a top 4 seed in the tournament. So she was right. The position they're in with only one senior and Mallory Stutzman
that's who it was, by the way.
Has been battling injuries. The best thing they can do is just move on, and they did that, and they got a huge win tonight. So he was right.
Speaking of moving on, what's up next for you?
I mean, we're just gonna get through high school season here. I'm going to start planning for the tournament. We'll be down in Dayton and, just watch how things end. And, I'll start getting prepared for my spring showcase on March 26th and obviously get started with AAU, and we'll see what happens.
The showcases, too, by the way, that have been in Northwest Ohio and everything you have going on. Folks want to find more. Where do they find you?
Well, at their own risk, they can find me on Twitter at HOF Huddle _Rich. My website is hofhuddle.com. That's pretty much all that I use consistently. So, those are the two places they can find me, but they can always just ask you too.
Right. I get a lot of, hey, how's Rich question? I honestly get more of that than you think.
I'm honored.
It's usually, is that guy legit or is he insane? I said, madness is next to genius as it goes.
Well, I hope I'm closer to genius than mad. So.
Well, I think we all hope that at some point. Or maybe a mad genius. I don't know how that works.
I'll take it. If someone called me a mad genius, I'll take it. And I might be, because I still hold the crown for the pick'em at the Classic in the Country, and I was the only one that picked Highland tonight.
But you didn't pick him on Saturday.
I did not pick him on Saturday.
That's the takeaway. Northwest Ohio won. Everybody else nothing.
Well, you don't go 17-5 in the pick'em by accident.
So can you do you just win your own prize?
Yeah.
Well, that's ridiculous.
I'm gonna give it away. I'm gonna give it away on Twitter tomorrow. It's actually something I already had for myself anyway, so I don't need two of them.
My goodness.
But it's an autographed box score of the Purcell Marion game and Laurel game, and D. Alexander from Purcell Marion signed it, and Sanaya Hall signed it from Laurel, and both of those kids are like top 5 in their class, and will definitely be playing big time college basketball, and most likely be playing in the WNBA someday. So, it's a cool thing to have if you're a girls basketball fan.
Which you have to be listening to this podcast.
That's not true.
You and Mark Gregory, I think you have to be a girls basketball fan.
You could be a Michael Hearn fan.
No, those people don't exist.
Which I happen to be.
Just my grandma, but I can't explain to her how podcasts work.
Well, I'll be your second fan.
She calls them Michael Hearn. She calls them the talkies.
You're not as funny as you think you are.
Oh, that's for damn sure.
But you are a hell of a friend. I know that, and that's way more important than me than being funny. So,
well, you got my number. I will hopefully see you soon.
Well, I guess we'll find out. Unfortunately, the basketball games that you go to are solely dependent on how well the teams you cover do.
At
so
State,
you never know.
At State, yes.
And at Classic.
Well, that's also the teams I cover being invited.
You sure could be coming no matter what.
But I like to get paid to watch basketball, so that's kind of where the dividing line is. That's the problem.
That is it. That is a good bonus.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Bonus. Plus, I need to lay off the noodles anyway, so that's a whole other thing.
Nah, there's no such thing. I'm actually sitting in the parking lot of the Planet Fitness, so.
All right, well, enjoy your workout. I appreciate you.
Hopefully I don't die of a heart attack tonight. I would love to be able to hear this podcast in a couple days.
You will. I will make sure of it. I will talk to you soon. Mike. I thank you.
All right, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me on.
That's the one, the only Rich Harland, because if there were two, we'd all have big problems. Coming back here to few with more.
Lee Kinsel Sales and Service, 650 West Urban Road. New Chevys, Buicks, GMCs, and all your pre-owned vehicles. We've got an award-winning service department and an award-winning parts department. What a great team. 866 Lee Kinsel, LeeKinsel.com, 650 West Urban Road, Van Wert, Ohio. Come see us and you'll leave happy. There's nothing like a Kinsel deal. We've been in business for over 50 years and looking forward to the next 50. 650 West Urban Road, Lee Kinsel Sales and Service. Come on over, Lima Land.
Welcome back here. A final time to wrap this show up for this week. Thanks to Mark and thanks to Rich for coming on the show. I hope you've enjoyed it. Be sure to reach out to those guys and follow them on Twitter. They're great follows. You can hit me up as well and let me know what you thought of the show. That's what we have for this week. Thank you so much for listening wherever you are, wherever you may be. Have a great night and an even better tomorrow.
We hope you've enjoyed this edition of Around the Hearn. Come back next week for more local stories from the NWO. But until then, be sure to follow us on Twitter at Michael Hearn PBP for more great area content.